Hey everybody, welcome to Callous Fight Night. We have our defending champ once again, Musha, who a lot of people didn't expect to win his match in the first place and become the champion, but here he is for the third week in a row, showing that he has gotten a lot better since he was just a random guy on ladder, starting to hold his own against some really good players, and he's got himself a real challenge here against a very experienced SPL veteran in Fakes who's been playing ADV for got to be a decade at this point. So we have looks like some kind of TSS from Mushi. Had the standard T-Tar lead, went to a Skarm, has shown nothing remotely non-standard so far. He hasn't gotten a spike down yet, but he's probably about to. He did get a Toxic off on Kuhn. Kuhn, of note, is faster than Skarm, so there is a hypothetical here where with a crit or what have you, a freeze, where the Skarm does not get the spike up here, but I think most of the time he's probably going to get a layer down. It's actually a Bliss switch. He does not feel comfortable spiking up. It's interesting. I think most people would have spiked there, especially if you have a Blissey in the back and you know you're not afraid of the Kuhn. That to me feels like a missed opportunity. I guess he was really, really not happy with the idea of eating another +1 surf. It did 44% the first time, so yes, it would leave the Skarm pretty low. Another thing is that the most common partner, in my opinion, I don't actually have data in front of me, but a very common partner for Kuhn is Claydol. So he also could be thinking that if he's leading Kuhn, it's either just an offensive spam team, like a combine spam that doesn't give a shit about my spikes, or there's going to be a doll in the back. Either way, maybe the spike here is not that great if I have to take a huge chunk in order to do it. So we have a Celebi here, which, I mean, at first, when you see a lead Kuhn and then you see a Celebi, I go, okay, it's probably CM spam. But it's actually a Leech Seed Celebi, which is not usually the set on a CM spam. So I think we're actually looking at a Magdoll or something along those lines, a balanced team. But I mean, all of these things, the Kuhn, the Celebi, the Lax, really scream that they don't want Skarm to be there. So, like, you would think there's a mag on the other side, but at the same time, Fakes has not gone to it here with numerous opportunities to try to get the Skarm. I don't think I would necessarily go for it here either. Maybe, I mean, there is Leech Seed on the Skarm, so that makes it less likely to stay in, and you don't want to quote-quote reveal your mag if you're not actually going to trap the Skarm. But I mean, at the same time, I think it should be pretty telegraphed that there's a very high chance that Fakes does have a Magneton. Like I said, I think we're looking at a Magdoll here from him, and it looks like a just traditional, boring Big 5 TSS or something very close to it from Mushi. Gonna get his Lax roared out. I think the hope there for Fakes is that he just roars out Claydol or Magneton anyway. Maybe he's only got one and not both. I mean, he's certainly gonna have a Magneton. Whether or not he has a spinner, I'm not sure. I mean, if he doesn't have a mag, I'd be real surprised, but it's Fakes. You never know. Anyhow, the thing that actually did get roared out was a previously unrevealed Jirachi that's going to immediately find itself against T-Tar. It's going to go Wish as opposed to an attack. Let's see, Kuhn at 82% and still poisoned. Celebi at a hundo, Lax at 91. It's going to be Kuhn receiving the Wish. That's non-CB damage, 33% on a Focus Punch. Has to also step on the one layer of spikes there in order to do it. And he's going to be at 80% when the dust settles, a little bit less rather, after he surfs here into Bliss because of the toxic damage. There's CM, there's Wish, see who needs it on this side. T-Tar at a hundo, Skarm at 69, and obviously the Bliss can just keep it for herself, but gonna pass it over to the Skarm, get that back up to a hundo. Kuhn also back up to a hundo with the rest. Hasn't shown whether or not it has Sleep Talk. If he does have it, he doesn't go for it here. There's the Roar. There is a Claydol. Like I said, strongly suspect Magdoll. Have been saying that for quite a while now. Toxic with the unfortunate miss for Mushi. Good for him to not go for it again and to simply reestablish spikes. I do believe that's the right play. A little bit of switching later from both parties, in fact, and we end up with Skarm on Kuhn. Kuhn being the recipient of the wish from the Rachi. Now Claydol comes in again. There's spikes. We know the Skarm is toxic, and he's going to connect here. In exchange, Rapid Spin does happen, is not blocked by what could be a Gengar in the back for Mushi. Very common on this kind of team. and it is the ancient, outdated refresh doll that I'm not a fan of, but in this situation, it might do. And that actually makes me think that he doesn't have a Magneton, because what is the point of a refresh doll if you've got a mag? You don't ever have to sit in there with your clay doll against Skarmory if you're just trapping and killing it with Magneton anyway. So that kind of, yeah, I don't know what his last is. This is a team that screams that it would want and benefit from a Magneton, but now I kind of think Fakes doesn't have it, which, I mean, no matter what the last poke is, that just to me feels like a pretty big flaw to be this vulnerable to Skarmory. I guess the answer is that the refresh doll is just going to forever answer Skarm and its spikes, but I see a lot of flaws with that. It can get trapped by things like Pursuitar. You can double switch in on it and force it out. I mean, that just doesn't seem reliable to me. And also, Kuhn and Celebi and Lax all have a hard time getting through Skarmory the wall as opposed to Skarmory the spiker. So I really think just to remove the wall of Skarm, that you'd benefit a lot from a Magneton as well. I really don't like the team from Fakes if he really truly doesn't have one. And it seems at this point less and less likely that he would have one. He's had a million opportunities to go to it and simply hasn't. And also, yeah, it doesn't make sense with the refresh doll, and he's had opportunities and hasn't done it. So even though Magneton feels so obvious, I at this point believe, even though I think he should have it, I think he doesn't. So there's sub from Kuhn, so we now know what we're working with here, and we also now know that those are 101 HP subs, therefore a 404 rather HP Kuhn, otherwise the Seismic Toss would have popped it. Ice Beam obviously is going to be able to do the 1 HP worth of damage that it needs to do to pop the sub there. Here's sub again. Wish, see where everybody is. T-Tar Hundo, Blissey healthy, Skarm healthy, and nobody really needs it here. Just a precautionary measure. There's the Seismic Toss and the rest anyway. As we've established, the S-Tosses don't break the sub, so the Kuhn can sit in here for quite a while. Mushi was still trying to figure out, just to be uber safe, if the Kuhn has any trickery here. But I mean, we know the full set at this point. He doesn't have to play around Sleep Talk anymore. Calm Mind, Surf, Rest, Sub, we know the whole thing. So once he puts it to sleep, he knows that he can just switch to whatever his phaser is and get it out of there. There's Drill Peck on Claydol. There's Drill Peck again on Claydol for lack of anything better to do. Rapid Spin coming down. Doll going to be at 76% after that. Make that 58 after another Drill Peck. And here's another Rapid Spin. So Doll is getting pecked down slowly but surely. It's at 64% now. But again, he Rapid Spins on the spikes, and he gets more lefties. Now he's up to 70. Here's Rachi. Drill Peck. Perfect. And that should scare the Skarm out, with the possibility of something like a Thunderbolt, a Thunder, a Fire Punch, what have you. It is Fire Punch. Luckily for Mushi, he doesn't manage to burn him, but he does still get him for a third. Here comes Starmie. This looks very, very standard TSS for Mushi. And like I said, it looks like a standard Magdoll for Fakes, but like I said, I guess he just doesn't have Magneton on his Magdoll team. Here is Blissey again on Kuhn. This has been a very methodical game of patterns. This has been a game where we see the same kind of sequences over and over again. Doesn't feel like either player is making any meaningful progress here. The one thing that I would note is that Blissey is expending quite a bit of PP here, because the Kuhn has never been in danger from the Bliss, and it does, of course, have the pressure ability. So we are running the Bliss out of the Ice Beams and the Seismic Tosses, which, I mean, might matter if this game goes super long. And I'm not ready to say we're looking at 200 turns here, but it certainly has played out so far as a game that might take a minute. We're already 53 turns in, and I mean, neither party is like even close, right? Everything is just completely healthy on both sides. The TSS team that Mushi has here is a little bit more old school style as opposed to new school. Not that this team wouldn't still be viable in the present day, but these days there's just a big sentiment against do nothing. Even like the stall teams have to have offensive presence somewhere, have to have proactive presence somewhere. It seems like Mushi's team is really, really reliant on using spikes to deal damage. It seems like he doesn't have a lot of actual pressure or forward momentum other than the spikes. So if Fakes is able to continuously neutralize those with the doll or whatever, then it feels like Mushi has a very hard time doing any meaningful damage. Now, he does have 2 layers down right now that the clay doll hasn't been able to remove yet, but that certainly doesn't mean that he can't or won't. And there's the roar to Jirachi. This is a pretty stally game here. I'm not sure how this ends. We see the last poke for Fakes is not Mag, is Doug, which like is also a mon that makes sense. I don't know that I love it because it's even further Skarm and Spikes vulnerable. So his team is just way too Skarm vulnerable for my taste. Skarm the Wall is a very difficult mon for Fakes' team, in my opinion. But the Doug Trio does make sense. With that Coon set, you definitely want to remove things like opposing Celebi. That would be very difficult for you. It would be very good to remove Blissey, for example, for Fakes' team. That would open up a lot of things. So, I mean, I do get the Doug Trio. I'm not like anti-Dougie here. I really, really think he needs a Magneton that he doesn't have. So here comes the Skarm. And the Lax, who we haven't seen in a while. But, I mean, unless this Lax is just going to self-destruct on something, I really don't see a lot of purpose for this Lax in this matchup. It's just going to get walled indefinitely by this Skarm unless it blows up on it, which does not seem to be the case. He does get a Body Slam and he does get a power off. So maybe the power on the Skarm is a small step towards progress. He actually does have self-destruct, which makes sense to me. It kind of had to, right? I mean, it was always going to have self-destruct because otherwise it's just walled forever by the Skarm. A Curse Rest Lax is not at all viable on this setup. It requires Magneton, and he just doesn't have that. So I think that self-destruct is something Mushi should have known is coming. Maybe he did know that was coming. I don't know that Skarm was the intended target for that, because now once Fakes finally does get another rapid spin-off, it's going to stay down, and those spikes are going to be permanently gone, and it looks like Mushi is going to really have a hard time dealing damage without spikes. He could have roared there. He missed that opportunity. I think that was a good roar turn. I think Doug Trio was like never staying in there, and I think Mushi had a free roar opportunity there that he didn't take. We'll see. I think Fakes is going to ultimately win this game because I think Mushi's team is to do nothing without the spikes. I think what happens is that Fakes goes for rapid spin here. Maybe T-Tower punishes a little bit. Maybe it doesn't. Sure, HP bug. I mean, something, right? 43%. He chips him a bit. But overall, I think Fakes is now in a really good position now that he got that spin-off. I think Mushi's going to have a hard time actually killing Fakes now that this has occurred. And this is actually just a trade anyway, even if the T-Tar wins. He only wins on paper because the Doug Trio just immediately comes in and makes it a trade. So finally we have some progress. We are in fact not going 200 turns, I'm happy to say, since it is a live narration and I don't really want to do 200 turns right now. But we do have ourselves a 4-4 situation now after some progress has been made. And the Ment is, I mean, we've only seen Roar, but mixed Ments is very common on this team. It could also be Wish Ments. Either way, I think Coon should be very safe here. This is not going to be a DD Roar Ments. That's not a thing. So we're looking at either 3 special attacks in Roar, 2 special attacks plus Brick Break in Roar, or just some kind of Wish set. Either way, I think Coon should be very safe here. It does not take that much from an HP Grass if he has that. And basically any set other than like CB or DD, which this is not, he should be fine. Celebi is an interesting choice. He takes the Dragon Claw fine, but don't you have to worry here about the Ments being faster, which it is, and having Fire Blast or Flamethrower here, which I think it is going to have. I don't like this from Fakes at all. He stays into Leech Seed. He gets lucky that he dodges the Fire Blast there, but the Fire Blast there 85% of the time simply kills the Celebi. I think Fakes wasn't clear as to what the Salamence set was, or I think he would have played differently. I think he was caught off guard by the Roar Ments. Maybe that's something he's not used to or hasn't seen recently, but I think he maybe misunderstood or misevaluated what the Ment set was, or I don't think he would have made that Celebi play. He was really trying to throw there by just giving away his Celebi for basically nothing. I mean, he doesn't even get the Leech Seed off if the Fire Blast connects there. So I don't like the way that Fakes played that, but he got bailed out by the miss. Crucially, the Dougie here does set up Sunny Day before dying. Now remember, it already trapped and killed the T-Tar, so the objective there is to kill the sand and then get rid of the sand permanently to presumably set up the Coon. So I think the plan for Fakes, maybe that was why he made the Celebi play. I still don't like it, but maybe the plan for Fakes is to go down to the last poke Coon and try to win with that, and that very well may get the job done. The only thing that maybe beats it on the other side is, yeah, it's not even the Starmie's not going to have Thunderbolt. He's going to have Rapid Spin as the last move, of course. That's a bulky star, so Starmie not a threat to the Coon in this instance. I think that, yeah, I mean, the way that I see this playing out is I think the last poke Coon is going to get the job done here. That looks like the most likely outcome to me. Take a peek here. It's a non-CM Bliss, so that isn't going to beat the Coon. I guess this could be an off-pert, and he could just randomly get there with freezes or focus punch crits or whatever, but I don't think Swampert beats Coon. Usually Coon is a check to Swampert. I guess if this Benz has HP Grass, he could get there with some crits at a good time, or like right there, if he crit Dragon Claws, then Coon dies and you're good to go, but yeah, pending something like that, I think that the last poke Coon will get this done for Fakes, and he will dethrone Mushi Musha as the champ. That's my guess as to how this plays out, but you guys know how Pokemon goes. Crits are a bitch, and if a crit comes down here and completely changes things, then Mushi certainly can still win. And it looks like that's the plan. Looks like Fakes is trying to pressure stall him out of the Dragon Claw PP, and it looks like Mushi is fishing for a crit, but he gives up on that. He goes for Roar. Let's see where he is on Dragon Claws. This says he's got 16, but it doesn't track pressure, so he's actually got a little bit less. I'm not sure how many of those were against the Coon. We saw at least 4 of them in that previous sequence, so he has no more than 12 PP. He might even have less if he Dragon Clawed against the Coon earlier. I don't recall. Starmie and Recover with a Celebi, respectively. Here's the Salamence and the Coon. Yeah, I mean, this is going to drag out for a while, but like I said, I think the Coon trumps all in the end, pending a miraculous chain of para, full para, or pending a Swampert freeze, or focus punch double crit, or some nonsense like that, but the vast majority of the time, I think that the Coon is going to get the job done here for Fakes. It's going to happen slowly, as you can see, but I do think that's the likely outcome in this game. There's the Coon again. There's a freeze opportunity. Nope. Mushi not able to get the 10% BS, but that would have changed things in a big way if he could freeze the Coon and have it not thaw. Here's another Ice Beam attempt, this one at Celebi, which is not as big of a deal. Honestly, Fakes, I mean, if he could, would almost just feint both of his Celebi and his Jirachi here. Just click a button and have them self-destruct, if you will, on the bench, and leave it with just Coon if he could. I think that would just speed things up. Screw these other Mons, let me just have Coon. But we are going through the motions. I mean, obviously, you might as well make use of the Mons while you have it. I mean, there is a world where if Celebi and Jirachi die too early, maybe the Coon itself, even though it has pressure, could be PP stalled out, right? I mean, can't Mushi just switch back and forth a bazillion times between Blissey and Starmie and just get some recovers in when you need to, blah, blah, blah. Force the Coon out of PP eventually. Let's see, what does Coon have for PP? Quite a bit, this says. He does only have 10 rests left. I mean, only 10. That's a ton in a normal game, but with the pace of this game, where we might be looking at like a hyper late game, PP is relevant kind of scenario, the 10 maybe isn't actually that many anymore. As far as Surfs, he's got 19 of those, which, I mean, is underwhelming against like a Blissey and a Starmie, right? But you've got to remember that at some point, those are going to hit +6 and obviously be a lot more threatening. He'll be one crit away from killing anything at any given time. There's an Ice Beam freeze on Celebi, but who cares? Tries again on Coon, doesn't get it. I don't like the Surf there for Fakes. I think that, well, there's a freeze, but I think that the Surf PP is very relevant for the Coon, and I don't know that he should be wasting it on just doing a little chip there. Okay, there's a heel bell. I was going to say he's not panicking at all. He just goes straight to Selby when the freeze happens, which kind of tips me off that he's got something like that. So the freeze is undone. That out for now is out the window for Mushi. We might be looking at a grind. I said we were not going to be going 200 plus, but I might be looking to take that back. We've reached a real stall here, a real impasse, and turn 140, there hasn't been progress recently in any meaningful way. We might be going for a grind here. Here's the Mence. I don't like the way Fakes is playing this. I think his surfs are really valuable. I don't think he should be wasting them just for dumb chip damage here. I don't think it's worth it for 22% or 20% or whatever. And it's even worse than that because he himself got rid of the sand by using Sunny Day with Dugtrio. So the damage doesn't even stick. These things are going to recover. And there's a Wish user on the other side. So I think Fakes is being overly aggressive with his surf PP, which is limited and valuable. But I mean, at the same time, God, we might be looking at like a draw here. I mean, these guys might just not be able to kill each other. Let's see what the Rachi set is here. So we saw Psychic for the first time just now. That was its last move. So the traditional Calm Mind, Fire Punch, Psychic, Wish set, that could be a win con. Could certainly grind out to that and have the Rachi be the winner here, potentially. It's the same thing. I mean, crit Fire Blasts from the Mence or Earthquakes or Bad Paras or whatever. With the Swampert on the other side, I mean, there's definitely things that can happen. But there is a chance for the Rachi to actually end this game the old-fashioned way, as opposed to me having to step in on turn 800 and go, hey guys, let's call it a draw. Which would be a first in CALLOUS Fight Night. I don't even know what to do in that situation. Do I make them replay? Do I just tell them both, come back next week, let's try again and get a winner? That would be a first for me. I've had to handle draws a couple of times in CALLOUS Invitational, which is really awkward, but there has never been a draw or an endless game in CALLOUS Fight Night, and with the amount that I slept last night, which isn't a lot, I'm kind of hoping today isn't the day that we break that record, but I guess it's possible. I think the game will probably finish the old-fashioned way, either on the back of the Coon or the Rachi, but, oh boy, we're hitting that point where both guys are doing nothing but switch. That's usually a bad sign. When both players refuse to attack. There we go. Okay, Calm Mind. Progress. We like Calm Mind. Here's Starmie. There's Calm Mind number 2. We like Calm Mind number 2. T-Wave. Crit. Nope. Calm Mind number 3. We like these things. Could potentially lead to progress if there is such a thing. Calm Mind number 4. Here's Swampert. Very dangerous. That could have gotten nailed on the way in. There's an Earthquake. And a big Psychic for 84%. He's obviously not living another one of those if it comes off. There's Endeavor. Would have been such a bad time for a full para. But what is this? My DPPPL team? He's not that unlucky. There is the Fire Blast. And there he is shrugging off the damage. So progress has been made. We've got a kill here on the Swampert. Finally another knockout. Turn 178 here as we go deeper and deeper. Here's Bliss. Here's Coon. More switching. I'm having a hard time figuring out how Mushi wins here. I could see how Fakes wins, and I could see how this is a long, boring, stalemate draw. But I'm not seeing how Mushi wins. And I'm not saying he should concede. I mean, anytime it's I use this with air quotes, but tournament game, if you can call this that, it's totally your prerogative, encouraged to play it out and do what you could do. But pending a colossal punt from Fakes, and even then, I don't even necessarily know what that would be at this point. I don't know how Mushi can really win here. Maybe he keeps Rachi in here and lets it get fried by Fire Blast, but he's never, ever going to do that, obviously. And as you can see, he does, in fact, switch. Yeah, like I said, I could see a Fakes win, or I could see a long, boring, painful draw, but it seems almost impossible for Mushi to get it done here. I've got to just criticize the team. He played fine, but this team is just way too do-nothing for Mushi. His offensive win cons are Spikes and a mixed man's, and that's basically it. It's not even an off star. It's a bulky T-wave star. It's not a Calm Mind Bliss, or like at least a modest like Bolt Beam Bliss, or something that can catch something, a Fire Blast Bliss. He's just got way too many defensive sets on this team. Something, or multiple somethings probably, but something among these guys had to be offensive somewhere. It's just way too nothing if he just way too do nothing. If he comes across just a simple, reliable rapid spinner, like say a Claydol from Fakes, he just can't do anything. And we have in fact crossed the 200 turn barrier. Didn't think we'd be here. Here we are. Yeah, we're chugging. I mean, this is they're not hesitating. There's been very few pauses in this game, maybe one or two small ones early on, but I mean, they're playing at a fine pace. It's not that they're moving like snails here. There isn't a lot to do and there isn't a lot of progress to be made. I mean, especially on Mushi's end. I mean, what is the goal here? If you're Mushi right now, other than Fakes in Germany, 6 hours ahead, falling asleep at the keyboard, how do you envision yourself winning here if you're Mushi? What is your win con other than Fakes with his drunken ass passing out at the computer? That's the only win con I can see at this point, but maybe Mushi will find another way. There's the Brick Break. That did a whopping 13% to Kuhn. That is probably not going to get it done. Celebi. Let me just do a PP check while we do the endless switching limbo here. 7 Fire Blasts left. It's definitely less than that. I think at least one of those, I believe, was at the Kuhn. No, you know what? The 1 Fire Blast was the one that missed the Celebi, so maybe he really does have 7 left. But other than I mean, it hits the Rachi and the Celebi. It would be very good against both of those. But unless the Kuhn somehow miraculously dies, which it might have old age at the way this game is going, but if the Kuhn does not find a way to miraculously die, then the Fire Blasts are never going to matter because they're never going to hit the Rachi or the Celebi. And as I say that, he had an opportunity to do it that he didn't take. But the vast majority of the time, it should just be the Kuhn switching into the Salamence. What else do we have for PP? The Bliss. That isn't right. Okay, I don't know what glitch we have here. It's just messing up, I guess, because yeah, we're getting some kind of glitch. I think it just like can't handle the fact that we're 200 something turns in. We've had all sorts of glitches. We've had the like switch in multiple times glitch visually a couple of times already, and we know this is wrong. Like Thunderwave and Surf only on the Starmie, that isn't right. We've already seen other moves. Same thing with the Bliss. We've already seen other moves. So that's definitely not right. So, well, that makes it even more fun. So not only are we in the endless switch back and forth grind fest here, but we have lost a correct PP counter for the Pokemon. I wonder if I just refresh real quick, if that'll fix it. Let me just try that. We're not going to miss anything meaningful. Let me oh no, where'd the game go? There we go. I solved it, guys. For a minute there, I thought that they like finished 10 minutes ago and we're behind in real time. I thought I screwed it up. It was hesitating to come back when I refreshed. Alright, let's see. Does that fix our problem? Yeah, that looks like a much more realistic PP count. The magic of refreshing the page. Let's see. So Blissey hasn't even shown soft-boiled yet, so what a damn grind this could be. She definitely has less tosses and ice beams than that because earlier on in the game she used a bunch of that against Kuhn. Salamence, 4 Fire Blasts, which might even be less. I don't know how many of those are at Kuhn. Bunch of Brick Breaks that don't matter. Brick Break does dick against the whole team. Roar doesn't matter other than for PP purposes. Does have a few Dragon Claws. He's got even less than this says because, again, a bunch of those were against Kuhn. At least 4 of them that I remember were against Kuhn, so he's got 12 or fewer of those. And then on the other side, Celebi has a whole lot of do-nothing here, but does only have 3 Heal Bells left, if that matters. Rachi's got plenty of PP. Rachi, other than being paralyzed, which, again, Heal Bell, is pretty much ready to go. And then Kuhn, like I said, I don't necessarily like the way that Fakes has been kind of reckless at some points of the game with his Surfs, but the Coon does still have enough PP in the back to where it can be a thing. Mushi fighting on like a trooper, not conceding here, but it just, I mean, his prerogative to play it out. Some people are never give up, never surrender, too proud to concede, all that good stuff. That's fine. No hate, personal preference, all that good stuff. But I'm really having a hard time. I've been having a hard time for over 100 turns, but really having a hard time envisioning Mushi winning this game. What could he possibly do? What sequence of events has to happen here? Again, other than Fakes in his drunken state, falling asleep at the keyboard, what in the game could Mushi do to win from this position? Pretty sure the answer is damn near nothing at this point. Coon is super duper set up at this point. That is all 6 of the Calm Mind boosts. There's the recover, but this is only going to serve to force out some surfs. It is not going to last too much longer. This surf should kill, and does. Starmie goes down. Here's the Bliss. I guess the plan is the Bliss, he stalls it out of surfs now. Fakes, very ironically here, actually shot himself in the foot a little bit by removing the weather. In the vast majority of matchups, that is exactly what he wants to be doing, but in this matchup, he's making it take that much longer because the sand isn't there to help kill the Bliss. There's Wish and Mence respectively. Here's Coon, which cares nothing about what Salamence does. Even if he burned him there, who cares? But he didn't. Just a Fire Blast, which he's got to be very low on now. He's got 2 or fewer of those remaining in the tank. It's looking pretty over, boys. I mean, I don't know that I've ever in my whole channel's history been like, all right, guys, I'm leaving the rest to you. I'm going to go make lunch. But I really could do that here. I could just get up and walk away. I mean, what is there to do at this point? Mushi cannot, will not win this game. He's choosing to play it out. That's fine. But 268 turns and counting later, 269. I mean, hell, let's just go for 300. Let's just get a nice round number in there. But a million turns later, Fakes is going to beat Mushi here, dethrone him, and he's going to be our new CALLOUS Fight Night champ to hopefully show up again next week and fend off a new challenger, which we're going to draw in a little bit. That Ice Beam freeze changes nothing. The Jirachi can sit in here indefinitely. Even if this were RBY, even if the thing were permanently frozen, the Jirachi would still win out. It could just sit there and mooch the Leech Seed forever until the Blissey eventually tuckers itself out, runs out of PP. Yeah, the Jirachi literally wins this one-on-one while frozen. It could literally sit there and never move again, and it still wins. I do not understand. It's got to just be a pride thing. I mean, it's literally impossible, other than a disconnect from Fakes, and even then I would rule that as a Fakes win at this point. It is literally impossible. Mushi cannot win this game. What are we doing here other than wasting everybody's Sunday? Come on, man. Cannot be done. You can see here the Seismic Toss damage is fully negated by the Leech Seed on the Jirachi. The whole thing. It's not like he's chipping him 1% at a time and he could theoretically be frozen for 100 turns in a row. That cannot happen. Seismic Toss cannot crit. There's nothing that can be done here. He is mathematically dead. We are just going through the motions because God hates me and I have nothing better to do on a Sunday. Fire Punch. Soft boiled. Just concede, Mushi. You've been a cool champion, dude. You had a good couple weeks, but you're dead. You Dunyan rings. Pack it up, pack it in. Let me begin. Something, something, a sin. Fire Punch, soft boiled. Where is the Blissey on PP? She can't have too much left. No wishes, 6 soft boileds, 11 S-tosses, which is less than 11, and 5 ice beams, which is less than 5, because again, a lot of those are at the Coon. Any day now, Blissey is going to begin struggling. any day now. Like I said, I think we're just going for the nice round 300 turn fight night that we all desire, that we were all hoping to see. Fire Punch and Soft Boiled. 293. Come on, guys. Countdown. There's a Specs drop. Oh, are we done? Is 294 the magic number? Do we Psychic here for the victory? Oh, 294. Didn't quite make it to 300. What a tragedy. I'm going to make them replay until they get a 300 turn game. This one was too short. Fucking Christ, that took forever. Alright, let's see where we are. Somebody playing? Am I missing? Alright, I will deal with that after. That's some DPP activity drama. Let me just get this squared away and end this recording, and I can move on here. Alright, we have these fine gentlemen and one lady in the pool. What is this? 10 people, 11 people, 11 people. 1 through 76 is going to be the drawing. Man, Finch has been waiting 4 months to try to play this fucking thing, and the RNGesus hates him. Will it cooperate this time? 1 through 76. Generate. Yes! There you go. Took 4 months, and finally, Finch gets to play in the most prestigious tournament in all of Pokemon, the legendary CALLOUS Fight Night. Took 4 fucking months, but here we are. So Finch against Fakes next week. You know, those are 2 very good Pokemon players. That should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. Hope you are too. I'm going to go kill myself.